So, if you've ever had an encounter with someone who's just really horrible to you, you're not the only one here because I just absolutely, I don't understand why people can't be nice, you know what I mean? And if you've gone through something today where somebody's been horrible to you and that's led you to this video, hi, I'm Becky. I generally talk about random stuff and motivation and things, and then I have another YouTube channel where I build things in 3D and CGI and do a little bit of visual effects and stuff. I've experienced some negative people over the time that I've been trying to build somewhat of a quote-unquote career for myself, and try and build my own stuff up. And honestly, for most of the hate that I experience, it generally comes from a place where people generally don't have a lot of confidence, or maybe they're just jealous, and for some reason you were the punching bag today. I don't know. There are also people who will dislike you because you decided to say no to them. There are so many people that I've said no to, and then they've suddenly changed the scripts. They've been super nice, and then they just flip the switch or the script even, when I say no. And it's a very interesting thing to happen. To know that the people around you were essentially using you for something of their own gain. So, there's a little story I want to tell you about someone that I knew, and obviously no names, no faces, no places, as it is. So, it starts off with, I think it really started off in high school. So, my artwork was placed onto the school website. And the art tutor, who kind of had her favourite student, shall we say, decided that she didn't want my work on the school website and she wanted another student on the school website. So I was kind of like, okay, but the guy who made the school website put my work up there because he thought it was good. So then this teacher decided to have a right go at me. She was like, oh, well, I don't want your artwork up on the website, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, it's not my choice. It was out of my hands. You know what I mean? I just agreed to it. He asked me and I said yes. I didn't know that there was other students who wanted their work on the website. You know what I mean? It's completely out of my hands. So this teacher didn't like me very much. And to be honest with you, she turned around to me at one point and said that I would amount to nothing. Really? Right, okay. So, hi, if this teacher's watching this, I have 18 book publications that are out there that are available to the public. So, I would amount to nothing. Right, okay. And then I have a YouTube channel that's over 12,000 subscribers, and then I also have TikTok channels that are over 12,000 subscribers. Yay. That's her definition of amounting to nothing, allegedly. So, yeah, take that as you will. I'm not trying to toot my own horn there, but there you go. So, people who are negative with you, it can come from a place of jealousy sometimes. It can come from a place of, I don't know. Sometimes people just use you as their local punching bag occasionally, and it just kind of becomes a thing. Boundary setting is definitely one thing that I would definitely tell you right now. I had to set some boundaries with a couple of people on my YouTube channel quite recently. One guy wanted me to buy this software so that I could teach him how to use it, and then I told him no, because I didn't know what the software was, nor did I know how to use the software, which is fair enough. And he decided to come back on another comment and said oh yeah, have you downloaded that software yet for those tutorials? And I'm like, no, I'm not using the software, I don't know how to use it. And I tried to politely tell him, I don't know the software, I don't know how to use it, I don't want to download it, and I can't teach it if I don't know how to use it, thinking this will click in his head eventually. And he comes back to one of my live streams. I was there, I was just playing a random game. I was bored one day, so I decided to live stream. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm playing a live stream game. And he turns around to me, he goes, well, where are these tutorials I asked you to do? And I'm just sat there going this guy is not drawn up a contract with me. This guy's not paying me. And even when I researched the software that he wanted me to download, it was £200 a month just to own on a rolling contract. and it was £1,000 a year. I thought, I'm not paying for blooming software that I don't know how to use. And certainly, like, he's not offered any money to pay for that software. I'm thinking, like, I'm not doing that. Like, no way. Like, you know, fair enough to me. Like, I didn't have money at the time. Like, I just thought, like, why would you ask a random stranger to buy something for you when you know the price of it? You know what I mean? I was really confused. So I told him again, I'm not doing that. I'm not buying the software. Even my admin came into the chat, and he even said to me, like, do you want me to deal with him, kind of thing? And my admin even said a few choice words, shall we say, from what I remember. And this guy who was asking for the software then became really upset and said, like, oh, well, I expected you to buy it. And I was like, well, no. Like, I don't have the YouTube partnership. I don't get paid by sponsors. Like, you know, I get very little from the sponsors that I have. Like, at what point were you thinking that I was going to go ahead and spend £200 a month on a piece of software that I don't know how to use? You know, and he became really horrible afterwards, and he got some other YouTube channels, and he kept coming back to my channel going, oh, well, I can do 3D work better than you, and I can do this and I can do that, and look at my work, you know, and just trying to show off. And I was just like, dude, like, I don't care. Like, I'm in the best of, how do I put this politely? In the best of circumstances, you know, please take a hike off a very short bridge. You know, not in that sense, but, you know, just take a hike off a short pier, you know what I mean? Because I just, like, I don't understand how people can go over to you and make so many demands and then decide, oh, by the way, I'm going to be mean if I don't get what I want. Right, okay. So how's that working for you? Because it certainly didn't work for him. I didn't buy the software. Living out, like, I just sat there and I just went, that's not happening. So, yeah. And then there was another guy who was a bit mean to me who... I went to Berlin this one year, and you know, as you do, if you've got a Facebook account, if you're a golden oldie like me and you have Facebook, I'm like 32. So, yeah, I went to Berlin and I posted a couple of pictures about Berlin on my Facebook and a few on the YouTube as well. And he came over to me, and it just happened to be that we worked in the same workplace after we left school. And he came over to me, he said, you know, no one cares about what you do. And, you know, I don't... You know, no one cares. Like, if you do artwork, you do anything like I do, it's like, I'm doing this channel right now. You know, I know that a lot of people are not going to care about the channel because it doesn't resonate with them. You know what I mean? But, like, I just kind of sat there and went, hold on a minute. So you're telling me, because I went to Berlin and I took photos and then I posted them to Facebook in an album, like many people do when they go on holiday, that suddenly you're being mean with me because no one cares. Right. So I just sat there and I just kind of went, is this guy for real? Like, I'm posting stuff to social media and he suddenly got jealous and got defensive and came over to me and told me no one cares. Right. What do you want me to do about that? You know what I mean? And then it was years later I actually researched this guy, and at the time when I knew him, he was saying like, oh yeah, I'm going to set up a business and I'm running this business and blah, blah, blah. Posted all this stuff all over social media, you know, the same way that I did. And yeah, years later I researched his company. I actually went to company's house and went to various different places, and his company doesn't exist. The company that he claimed to have, the business that he claimed to have, the name that he claimed to have isn't registered under his name, but somebody else's. And it's not somebody that I've ever met. And allegedly, it's not even in the same town that we live in. Right. So this guy who decided to hate and decided to be better than essentially I was, not that it was ever a competition, sorry to say, but you know, this guy was a bit up his own backside. It turned out that he never had a business and he was lying to everyone. I won't mention names, faces, or places, but that's the story that I'm going to tell you today. So if you ever have anybody who's hating on you or is just generally rude, it generally doesn't come from a place of love. It comes from a place of feeling inadequate in their own lives, and maybe they've seen something in your life that they want and perhaps they can't get because they either don't have the motivation in which to do it, or they just generally can't be bothered. Take it as you will. I'd say take any hates that you have on the chin. I know there's a lot of YouTubers out there that will get loads of positive comments on their YouTube videos, and then suddenly one day someone will say something horrible and it'll collapse their entire world because, you know, they're used to so much positivity. And a lot of people will call it a dopamine rush. You know, I would say get some serotonin in there, but, you know, a lot of people will call dopamine the happy chemical that's in your brain. It's a little bit more than that. You know, it's like a reward center kind of thing. But generally, people who are just horrible, like, I just ignore them. I just generally ignore them because I just feel that there's so much more going on in my life, so much more excitement going on in my life that I'm making for myself, that I don't want them to be part of it. So, you know, you're not going to please everyone in life. And I think boundaries are a huge thing, especially with that guy who was like requesting the £200 software per month. Like, boundaries is a huge thing, you know what I mean? And if you can't set the boundary, maybe somebody else can kind of step in and go like, you know, like my admin did and said like, hey dude, you know, we're not doing this, you know, and telling him straight. Because every time that I tried to tell this guy, I'm not buying that software, it was like, oh, have you changed your mind yet? Oh, are you going to buy this software for me? I'm like, no, you're a complete stranger. I only have 12,000 subscribers. I am known as a micro-influencer. I'm not big. I don't earn money off YouTube. Not right now, at least. Hope that changes in the future at some point, because I am 800 watch hours off the YouTube partnership, but that's beyond the point. You know, like the stories that I've heard from other YouTubers that I know personally, they don't earn much per week, not enough to pay the rent, at least at first. So, you know, this is why you see a lot of YouTubers with sponsors and stuff. But yeah, as in regards to mean people coming into your comments section, it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. And the only thing that I would say to you right now is that reflection of them is their problem to deal with. It's not your circus, and it's certainly not your monkeys. Don't pay attention to them. Okay, chickadee? I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.